Hey, welcome everybody. I hope you can see your chat. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, ask you to raise your hand. As Emily said, I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Enactus. It is my privilege and pleasure and purpose to serve you. And I always want to figure out how can I serve you guys better because you guys are on the front line. And so I'm here in service today. I want to make sure I give you the best tools possible. So as CIO, Chief Innovation Officer, or as my son says, the CIEIEIO, I get an opportunity to talk to lots of students, lots of judges, lots of business partners, lots of academics about how do we continue to improve? How can we do better? How can we raise the bar? And as I mentioned before, there is this X factor in how to win the race. And I want to share with you guys that X factor. I'm going to peruse the gallery here, see some great faces. First one that popped up was Davis. I'm going to peruse the gallery, but I'm going to start off by asking a question. And you could just, raise your hand if the answer is yes. If you are not allowed on your campus, or you are off your campus, you are displaced from your campus, raise your hand. I want to see how many of you can't be on your campuses. Yeah, looks like quite a few. Em, do you got a view?
Yeah, so it looks like we've got at least 10 hands up.
So talking to hundreds of students around the world in the Enactus world, we know that most of you, many of you are displaced. You're not on your campus. You can't be on your campus because of this challenge of COVID. We know that that's been an extraordinary blow to our opportunity to impact and to create and be the creators that we are. However, many amazing Enactus students have learned how to quickly adapt, to be the entrepreneurs, the social entrepreneurs, the social innovators, and quickly see the opportunity in this challenge. And as we're challenged by COVID in the year 2020 and now rolling into 2021, I can guarantee you 2021 is going to be a much better, more promising, more possible, a year filled with passion and purpose, thanks to all of you. So my heart goes out to all of you who are challenged and crushed, but I want to offer you some thoughts, some opportunities, and invite you to have the amazing opportunity to collaborate on tools like Enactus Plus, which we'll talk to you about, so you can talk, connect, and link to other students around the world that are not necessarily on your campus, not even necessarily in your country, that somewhere on the opposite side of the world, you can have the same conversation and grow. So I want to ask you on the Win the Race, how some of you have entered the races and some of you are in early stage and some of you are still thinking about your project. Some of you may have advanced projects, but this is for everyone. This is for you if you're thinking about an impact, thinking about an idea to enter the race, and giving you an opportunity to take it far beyond even just us at Enactus, far beyond the Enactus journey. But the question at hand is, there is a picture in front of you. This is a race. It's that's not a biplane, it's a fixed wing, but it's racing around cones. This is a big race in places around the world. It's exhilarating. It's usually sponsored by Red Bull, but there's something not quite right about this picture. Does anybody know? When you look at this picture, what comes to mind? If you want to just raise your hand, I'll call on you. But when you look at this picture, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you feeling when you look at this picture?
Looks like we have a quiet group. Feel free to raise your hand or pop your answer into the chat.
One key piece about winning a race is being brave, jumping on stage, even if you feel you're an introvert. It's a good opportunity to share, and I invite you all to jump in here. I know we had quite a few people, over 100 register for this, so I know some of you are still coming into the room. But when you look at this picture, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? Is there an emotional connectivity to this particular picture? Anyone?
So we have quite a few people have answered air pollution from the plane. So getting those visuals down, how about emotions? How are you feeling about this picture?
So thank you for your answer, because that's the first thing that came to mind when I looked at that. And I said, you know, when that pilot gets out of the plane and then you interview him and you put a microphone in his face and you're like, how are you feeling? There's a chance that that pilot's going to say, I'm exhilarated. This is exciting. This is joyous. I'm going fast. I'm approaching the speed of sound. This is amazing. And an Enactus student, a social entrepreneur, and a social innovator will not just see what appears to be the positive impact. You will tune into the environmental impact. You will tune into what does this actually mean for people, planet, and prosperity? Does that winner get to share his winnings with any of us? Or does he fly his plane and pollute the skies with a negative impact? So one of the keys to winning a race is thinking about your positive impact for people, planet, and prosperity. That first one, people, includes you in the middle of the circle. It includes you, your team, your community, your country, and then the opportunity to scale and communicate with the world. So I'm so proud. That's a great test for what a true Enactus student can see. They see the trail of pollution, and you don't even necessarily see the windmills in the background, but you might see the plastic cones in the foreground, and you see the negative impact that happens upon the world. It is that lens that gives us an opportunity to be a powerful, effective social innovator and social entrepreneur and live our core values at Enactus. Super cool. All right, let's go on to the next slide, welcoming more people into the room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have some beautiful people from far off places, and this is your opportunity to drop in what country you are currently sitting in. What country are you currently sitting in? Kindly drop that into the chat, and that will be really awesome. Cool. M's the bottom of my screen is cutting off, but I think I can read 2nd of March, or is that 3rd? The very bottom there.
Well, the very bottom is 2nd of March.
2nd. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So welcome everybody. I wanted to give you a little heads up on some things that are coming up next. If you have not yet added a social ambassador to your team, this is a big opportunity and an amazing session that's coming up on the Storytellers series on the 2nd of March. So if you have not yet created an ambassador, a student ambassador, or a social ambassador for your team, please mark this date. Pay attention to Enactus Plus. Look at the emails and the that's coming out of Enactus. Check into Emily Gray's post about the races on E+ and in social everywhere, and make sure that your team has a social ambassador invited to this session on the 2nd of March coming up for the Storytellers series. We'll take that topic separately from how to win a race, but it's an important piece because it brings on the component of your passion into your purpose. And everything in between is really about high performance, to raise that bar of who we are, wherever we are at any given moment. So passion into performance, into great purpose. We have a big why at Enactus. Our big purpose and why lands right squarely on our vision for a better, more sustainable world. And that's why many of you pointed to what's wrong with the picture that I put forth with the airplane, because it doesn't provide you the perfect picture of a better, more sustainable world. So that why, that purpose is powerful. It unites us. It brings us across campuses and countries and brings us a common vision and a common purpose, no matter where you are in the world. And so all I ask is, when you present, when you provide information, when you share with everybody in the world, you bring your passion. Just bring your passion to the table. And if you haven't found your passion, communicate with others. Even if you're quiet, if you're an introvert, there is still quiet, beautiful, powerful passion that lives within your heart that allows judges, it allows other team members, it allows your academic advisors, it allows people in your campus and your family to go, wow, that passion is powerful. There's something special going on. I want some of that. So it's all about passion, performance, and purpose. And it's coming up on the Storyteller series on 2nd of March. Great. Let's go to the next one. Of course, as we jump to the next slide, you saw there the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So the races were actually developed, early concept in 2015. I had a privilege to work with a great team at Enactus when we conceived an idea about the Sustainable Development Goals and how could we make them more powerful, more important, more possible, and make 2030 come true in a way that these big, audacious goals can be possible for your world, next gen world. So the races were built in 17 lanes around the global goals loosely. They have big, powerful goals, and that helped us bring the races to life over the next couple of years in 2017, 2018, 2019, right up to today. And the very first race was called One Race to End Waste. 12, One Race to End Waste, around Sustainable Development Goal 12. And of course, now we moved into water, into oceans, into plastics, and everything important and powerful. And we're going to continue to add the races. So thank you for adding to those races. Okay, 4 simple things that I'm going to tell you about today, and they're in each corner. Let's create. I'm going to talk about the criteria. We're going to talk about collaboration, and we're going to talk about communication. So creation, criteria, collaboration, communication. Those are the 4 C's. Within those 4 C's is the connective power of the X factor on how to win a race. And so I hope that you share this with your other team members, others interested in entering the race. The races are slightly different than our core competition for a big reason. We're going to get to that big reason in a moment. But just remember, these 4 cornerstones, the 4 pillars on the power and how to win a race, not just the Enactus races, but many races that you will enter in your life and in your world. Those 4 pillars: create, criteria, collaboration, and communication. Up above, you may have often heard the word of the pursuit of happiness, the journey, the adventure learning, and the pursuit of happiness. We're in a challenged, troubling world that hit us from the side of COVID. And in COVID, we have not only health crisis, but we have an economic crisis. So our opportunity to provide economic inclusion is powerful right now. But it's something I like to flip personally. Instead of the pursuit of happiness, which puts happiness somewhere out there at the end of the trail, and then we're racing towards happiness, if you flip that for a moment and consider flipping the pursuit of happiness into the happiness of pursuit, then you already get happiness. You already get to wake up in abundance. You already get to wake up in gratitude and say, wow, if I'm running this race, what would it be like to start with joy, to start with happiness, to start with passion? And if I have that, how many people are going to want to be part of that? And I can guarantee you the judges look precisely for that. Where is the joy in this story? Where is the happiness in this story? Where is the opportunity and possibility in this story? So when we talk about the happiness of pursuit and that first pillar of create, it's about you and being creative and being a good storyteller. And that's why I invite you to bring your social ambassador to the Storyteller series that's coming up next. But that sense of Create Plus can manifest on Enactus Plus. It can manifest in your own self by spreading joy. And I often get a chance to feel the joy from all of you, from being with you guys, and that infectious opportunity, like power and passion. It's unbelievable. It's this abundant fountain of next gen youth. It's super cool. So bring your passion to the table when we talk about create. So turn the pursuit of happiness into the happiness of pursuit. And let's blow into create. Let's get our first pillar done. Here we go. So cool. We have a little pathway. I'm going to invite you to articulate this, but that's the straight line journey. And in the universe, there are no straight lines. Even light does not travel in a straight line. Einstein proved that to be true. It bends around gravity. So we'll talk about this straight line journey, but then we're going to talk about the road less traveled and the adventure road and the exciting road. But can you give us these key deadlines and dates here, Emily, and then we'll deviate a little bit and tell you about the adventure journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So as most or all of you know, as race participants, we have some deadlines along the way that you're required to meet just to keep us in some sort of order within the race. And we have already passed that initial deadline of your action entry, which was due on December 1st. So awesome job getting those in. I think many of you have seen that we had record participation numbers across a lot of races, which is great. So now that your entries are in, you're currently working on or have just completed the education modules, should you be in the Race to Rethink Plastic or the Race for Climate Action. Those two races have some special learning opportunities that come to us from our education collaborators from the race. So if you're working in the plastics race or the climate race, you've got those education modules to work on. So hopefully you're getting those wrapped up if you haven't already. And so the next step coming up in February is the progress report. So those are going to be due on Enactus Plus. You can see the dates there on the screen. They are weekly deadlines. So if your team happens to be in more than one race, not to worry, you don't have to have it all done on the same day. But those deadlines are coming up, and that happens on Enactus Plus. Basically, the same way you submitted your action entry is how you'll submit your progress report. So definitely start taking a look at that sample report, see what information we're asking, and that way you can get your entry, or excuse me, your progress report in on time. And then the last piece we have as far as the required deadlines come is the 77-second film deadline. You may have seen some information about this in an email from me. Terry's going to explain a little bit more about the film here in a little bit, but it is essential that you submit a 77-second film about your race project or your race journey by March 15th, and that also happens on Enactus Plus.
Super cool, Em. That's the straight line race. But as you know, most races, they don't run a straight line. They're up and down mountains, they're in the sky, they're shooting down hills, they're deviating, they're running a path. It's many winding path and opportunity to a race. It is so true with ours too. These are key dates to be noted, but you can create your own race path. And we've given you the tools to do that. So when we think about winning a race, you can think about the Enactus race and you can think about the World Cup, and maybe you don't make the cut. Maybe you're left behind, and maybe you don't get on that next step of the journey. Are you done in the race? Not a chance. Your race has just begun. That was just a little tiny speed bump to tell you, wow, what could we do as a team to get back into the race, to do better, to get noticed, to create ultimate positive impact. Positive impact for people, planet, and prosperity. What the Enactus national competitions and national events can do, and what the World Cup can do, is bring you exposure, put you in front of judges, put you in front of investors, put you in front of influencers and those interested. But that's just us. You can do that too. And you can often do it better than us. And when you collaborate with each other, which we'll get to, you can do it bigger than us, and we can be part of that journey. So when you create your race journey, we've given you some key tools to share. And one of the most amazing things that came out of this challenging year of 2020 was recording your presentations. Recording your presentations. And what we learned is once they were recorded, you weren't just sharing them at a moment in time on a stage. You had captured your story. You had captured your passion. You had captured your impact, and then you can share it with the world. Now, it's absolutely true, guys. This is an Instagram, IG, TikTok, QuickTime world. Short attention span theater. Grabbing attention in the first 3 to 6 seconds is critical. It's not only emotionally true, it's scientifically true that capturing your audience in the first 3 to 6 seconds is critical. And that's why we created brevity, shorter opportunities to put up your story in film and power and possibility. Now we put it into 77 seconds in respect to time because every second of our life counts. So the precision of 77 seconds, your story told in 77 seconds, allows the viewer, the audience, to respect and calculate their own time to go, oh, I can watch 10 of these stories. I can watch 3 of these stories right now. Or, hey, I've got 77 seconds. I want to watch one. So one of the key tools that we provided to you and we asked you to do is in your race team, create, provide, and promote a 77-second film. Not only so we can share it with the world, but so that you can share it in the world. So that if you find you don't make the first cut and you're in the race and you didn't make it to the next leg or the next tier, your 77-second film continues to move on. You get to enter the 77-second film festival. You get to have that exposure. And one of the things that we learned last year that I'm going to let you in on right now, while we had about 3,000 to 5,000 judges at the Enactus World Cup, we had about 15,000 judges for the 77-second film festival. So your share, your story went out to the world at a greater rate, at a greater opportunity. So I encourage you to create your own race journey, tell a great story with a 77-second film. And by the way, if you want to submit a couple of 77-second films around your impact and the impact on you and your team and personally with joy and the happiness of pursuit, do it. Absolutely do it. It's a true story. It's true to you. And it's true to our Enactus vision of creating a better, more sustainable world. Cool. So in those storylines, there's many powerful hooks. Yeah, there's passion and purpose and performance, but there's also, what's the business? What's the business of a better world? What did you do in that opportunity in your race? What did you learn? Did you fail? Either, failure is learning, and there's great opportunity to share that with everybody, and we're going to get to the criteria. So this is a straight line in your creative path, but we encourage you to create your own path. Tell us your stories. Are you struggling? Then tell us those stories too, so we can share them with the world, because this is a year of challenge. So let's work together. Let's unite. We're all displaced. We're working from home. It's a crazy year, but there's light ahead. And there is light at the end of this race. And there's a deviated opportunity to have a race that's an adventure too. I would love to share, Em, when you're ready, just let me know. We've got 2 videos that I'd love to share with you about the race as we click on our next slide, and then maybe we could go to that video if that's cool with you. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the room. Welcome to the X Factor. Welcome How to Win a Race. But I want to share with you a couple of videos right now. I'm probably throwing you off here, Emily, but
Nope.
when you get a chance.
You're all good. Which one would you like to go to?
I'd love to share the ones I sent to you this morning on 2 different races. So when we talk about how to win a race, I'm going to talk about who are we winning that race for. So here's a couple of stories. These happen to be brothers. Check out this quick video.
Second and third, but then less than 400 meters from the finishing line, unbelievable. Johnny Brownlee would start to find fatigue. He did not know where he was, and something that we have never seen before, Alistair Brownlee would help his brother to the finishing line. Henry Skuman could not believe his eyes. He would have himself an ability to get to the finish and win the grand final. The crowd absolutely could not believe what they were seeing. Henry Skuman, the man who had been the bronze medalist at the Olympic Games, would claim the grand final. What an incredible rock star season for Henry Skuman. And as he crossed the line, he would look back and not believe what he was seeing. The 2 Brownlee brothers trying to make their way to their finishing line with Richard Murray just seconds behind. and Alistair Brownlee would help the younger of the Brownlees in, push him across the line. It would be Johnny second, Alistair third.
Yeah, well, I've been in that position before, and when it happened to me in London all those years ago, I remember sprinting away in second place and then being in the position Johnny's in now and coming round and someone telling me I was in 10th, and I was like, how did all them people come past me? So I swore if it happened to anyone, if it happened to Henry, I would have helped him across the line, because to be honest, it's an awful position to be in. If he'd conked out okay from the finish line there and there isn't a medical support, it's a dangerous position to be in. So whatever, obviously the World Series is a big play, but whatever, it's the right thing to do.
So when we bring you back to the beginning and you looked at that picture of the airplane, and many of you said air pollution, our races are about impact. Who won that race? Now, the brother could have ran across and finished the race first. What did he do? He grabbed his brother and he pushed him across the line. He pushed him across the line to help him finish. So what does that mean? Who do you think got the greater impact? Do you think that this video has traveled around the world and seen millions of impressions? And the impact and the emotional story and the finish line to say, who can I help across the finish line? Who can I bring across the finish line? Could it be people at risk, environments at risk, an ocean at risk, a world polluted by plastics, repurposing that plastic, reimagining? Could it be my team? Could it be others on my campus? Could it be others in my community? Or could I collaborate with other teams? There's one more video there that I do want to share if you get a chance. That was a brother who obviously pushed his brother across the line to finish. He could have finished first, but he chose to take second with a beautiful possibility. Here's one more story similar with amazing impact around the world. Thank you very much, everybody. Now what you're seeing, you look at these videos, those were not just brothers. They were not just family, but they all bleed red. They all bleed the same color red. They are brothers and sisters around planet Earth, helping each other out. So who won those races? When it comes to impact, we're thinking about how we win the race for people, planet, and prosperity. How we win the race for each other. How we win the race for special needs. How we win the race for compromised communities who haven't the access, the possibility, the privilege, and see the light like you guys do. So you are champion racers. And we want to give you that X factor. We want to give you the power. We want to give you the possibility for everyone to win. So if you find yourself that you think you're eliminated from the race, you are not. You are in the race for life. You entered as an Enactus student something very powerful and bigger than all of us. And that is an honorable purpose, being a social innovator and a social entrepreneur. So when we think about what emotional connection we feel to those stories, and by the way, many of those stories happen in 77 seconds or less, have circulated around the world and have inspired others. So can we use that in our story, sharing the joy and the happiness deep inside of struggle and the challenge? There's the joy. So could we share that to millions of people around the world, and then billions of people around the world? And when we talk about a race, in the end of the day, there's one. It's called the human race, and we all can win. It's not just a tagline, we all win. It's true, we can. And I want to show you and tell you how. Right now, we're going to zoom in to the criteria. So when you are looking with your team and you want to focus on how to win the race, this is at the core. I want you to think like a judge. These judges sit here with this criteria in front of them and hear your stories one after another, after another, after another. So imagine as a judge what you're supposed to score yourself with. You have the opportunity to help judges through the scoring system. You can talk to those judges, and those judges are anyone out there in the world. Those are the ones looking at you. So bring them along with a sense of joy. But check out these three criterias. Number one, shared insights. Number two, business, innovation, entrepreneurial leadership. And number three, positive impact. Let's focus on number one. Here is the magic. And this is different. This is different, guys, from our core competition. And here's the powerful piece that's different. Insights shared, 10 points. That's the value of information, learning, and clarity of needs assessment. That's you at an early stage. That's you with what you've learned. Is failure learning? Absolutely true. How many presentations share their stories of early failures? How brave would it be to consider sharing how you stumbled in the race, how you picked up your brother, how you picked up your sister, how you helped carry others across that line, that stumble, and how you rose from that stumble. As Nelson Mandela, it's not how many times we fall, it's how we pick ourselves back up. So what about those insights? What about sharing those stories and then reminding the judges, these are the insights that we learned as a team, even if we're early stage, even if we didn't get to impact. The next one is unbelievable. Insights shared. So that means, hey, we learned a lot in our journey at Enactus. We learned a lot in the race, but we're sharing a lot. So it's those shared insights that you can remind the judges, here's what we learned and here's who we shared it with. Okay, cool. So who did you share it with? Did you share it with your family? Did you share it with others on your campus? Did you share it far outside of the Enactus circle? Or did you create a 77-second film and then share it with the world? Did you get millions of views? There's no ceiling to this particular line of insights shared. Those are the shared lessons that you have learned. If you do these two things right as a race team, if you do these two things right and powerful, you will get the judge's attention, and that's just inside of Enactus. But you will have pushed this out to the world. And if you do a good job here, then there's a good chance they will already have heard about you, heard of you. Emily, give me a time check because I want to make sure we get kicking here. You were probably just sending me a text. I don't even know where my phone is.
No, but we have about just over 20 minutes left.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to slow start to the race. Now we got our pace and we're going to cook. We're going to get further. Guys, I invite you to camp on shared insights. What did you learn? Who did you share it with? Because that's the key to collaboration. If you share what your learnings are with other teams and reach out to other teams around the world, and then collaborate with influencers, collaborate with businesses, collaborate, then you will be off to a hot start on this race. And that's a third of the criteria. And the next piece, business innovation and entrepreneurial leadership. You guys clearly have a leadership position. This is about you. This is about what did you learn? So the business and innovation and the impact is really powerful and important here. And this is you as a team, entrepreneurial leadership. What are you learning? Because if you're not learning and you're not passionate, I am not sure that somebody wants to invest in you. I'm not sure that somebody can lean in and help you with your story. But at the very core of our mission is business and innovation and entrepreneurial leadership. So you guys have the ability to knock this out of the park, even in the year of COVID, even when you're displaced, even when you're working online, to say, look, we all know we're displaced and working online, but we took business innovation and our entrepreneurial leadership. We brought joy, we brought bliss, we brought possibility, we brought excitement, and we led. Change is inevitable. Wait and see is not a strategy. And that's why our theme all through 2020 was lead change, lead change. This is the opportunity to show that you lead change. Many of the judges, many of the views, many of the eyeballs around the world are in the business world. They're going to want to look for the business hook in addition to innovation. And then the last piece, weighed heavily, is positive impact. There's a couple of very important words here in the criteria. Scale ability. It says scale ability. It didn't mean that in the year 2020 and 2021, you scaled your project. It means, what's your scale ability? What's your ability to scale? And if a judge can say, wow, I see potential here, I see promise, the ability to scale is a critical piece to your story. It says significant opportunity to scale. That means judges, people, viewers believe in you. It's a belief that you have the power and you have the potential. The last one, sustainable positive impact, clarity, being super clear in your message. Your presentation is 7 minutes. You do not have to fill your 7 minutes with words. Bring in pauses, bring in opportunity for the judges or a viewer to think. If you watch those two videos, you had plenty of time to emote. Use the power of a pause so people can process what you just said. Don't try to fill every moment with words. Bring in music, bring in emotion, bring in power, bring in the power of pauses and air. That will provide greater clarity. It says clarity, significance, and measurability. Again, measurability. That means the ability to measure sustainable positive impact achieved, again, to date for people, planet, and prosperity. And that's to say, look, guys, we've got a great road ahead. We have the ability to measure our positive impact, not the air pollution that the fixed wing airplane leaves behind at the Red Bull race. No, the positive impact, accounting for the negative impact on the planet, not ignoring the negative impact, making it visible to say we've overcome, or we're considering, or we're doing our best not to create a negative impact, not to create a negative footprint. So that's number 2 criteria. I wanted to spend a lot of time here, but zoom into this bad boy like a laser beam. Look at it, study it, understand it. It is different on purpose from our core competition. It invites collaboration. It invites the story of joy and possibility. It invites a belief system. It invites shared insights, and it invites you to tell your story loud, proud, and early to the world in videos. Push it out there. Take advantage of your social ambassadors and your Enactus student ambassadors. Let's go to pillar number 3. Whew. All right. If I didn't speak enough around collaborate and to tip off collaboration, man, who do you want to collaborate with? Already we're together on this call. Now, you saw earlier that race was about competition. That wasn't just brothers on the same team. That was a team from Aruba supposedly competing against another team, and they helped them across the finish line. That collaboration is power. So when we talk about who we're collaborating with, yes, please start with your other brothers and sisters in your Enactus teams, your Enactus family. Great place to start because they're already ready. They're already living the same 4 values, those 4 Enactus values. I think of them as IPIC because it's integrity, and that's developed trust and truth, integrity, passion. The other I is innovation, and the last IPIC of our values is right here. It's collaboration. Collaborate with who? Other Enactus teams, campuses, communities, companies, influencers, and those on Enactus Plus. And Enactus Plus, you can connect with anybody and everybody around the world. Activate that. It's there for you. It needs you. It lives on you. It is Facebook without the faces. You are the faces to populate. So go in there and do it. Part of your how, jumping on Enactus Plus, get into those discussion forums, online conference tools. But remember, it's not limited to your Enactus world. If it was limited to the Enactus world, we would just all be in the same choir preaching the same stuff. We need to push out to the world. There's 7 billion plus out there. That's who we need to impact. So push out through your social channels, utilize LinkedIn. It's a powerful business network, but also have fun on other ones, on Instagram, on TikTok, and those channels of your choice. And then look into your networks. If you are collaborating with an academic advisor, if you are collaborating with a business, give them video, give them story, give them pictures, give them tools to help share that with the rest of the world, with their network. So number 3, collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. I want to leave you with this thought about collaboration. Competition and collaboration are not opposites. They're compatible. And when you combine collaboration with competition, you get co-opetition. That's us cooperating. That's a we all win. That's getting everybody across the finish line. And that is Enactus. Cool. 4th pillar, cool. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Now, was I communicating all the way through? Absolutely true. Now it's up to you. Here's your opportunity to communicate. Communicate with each other. Of course, I'm inviting you to communicate first and foremost on Enactus Plus. We need to power that up. We need to get every possible person in your team on the Enactus Plus platform so we can start to take this momentum into the future. Your 77-second film, do we have time to show anything there, Emily? I know there's some latency, but maybe we cool. Let's share one of those then.
Okay.
I'll get some water for this race.
Perfect.
Super cool. That's an opportunity, sure, to share it in your national competitions, your national events. Yes, at the World Cup, and those are nice world stages, but there are so many world stages. How many of your communities have a local film festival? How many big film festivals in your country or around the world? Why not create a 77-second film that you could submit to a film festival? Now, many of those films are 90 seconds or 2 hours, some are shorter. How many of those film festivals do you think would have time for 77 seconds? How many possible places might you share that film with? We're going to queue up one of the winning films, but I would love to go to you.
Hello and welcome, everybody.
I spoke too much. That's hello. Hi, Kylene. How are you? Some of our academic advisors, they are the power of our community, so it's nice to see their faces. You can go to our World Cup site, the Enactus World Cup, and you can see all of those 77-second films. But don't just use those as your marker. Create your own story. Create your story of happiness, possibility, joy, bliss, failure into success, when you fell, when you got back up, and all of your possibilities. So I'd love you to be brave for a moment. I want to field a couple of questions. I want you to unmute or raise your hand. I want to talk to you guys. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're doing with your team, but I want to know what your questions are. What's going on in your mind? What are you thinking about? We have gathered really a big, nice, really, really big audience. I thank you. I see lots of different countries. Emily, while we're waiting for those to others to raise their hand and join in, what are some of the countries that you're seeing that joined us today? I see India for sure.
Yeah, we have India, we have Brazil, Ireland, Mexico is here, Tunisia is here.
Awesome. I see South Africa in the house, the continent well represented. Thank you very much. Good to see all of you. You have brothers and sisters all around the planet here, linking in. So these are the 4 pillars, and this is the X factor on winning a race. Create your own story. Tell it with integrity and truth. Do not exaggerate. There's no need to tell a false story. Tell the true story, true to you, true to your team, true to your intention, true to your impact, true to your passion, true to your purpose. It's all in performance. Criteria. You see what the judges look at. You see right in there is an opportunity to collaborate, to share what you learned. And then collaboration, of course, is key. It is key. It is how you're going to grow your impact. It is not about you hiding what you're doing with your team. It's about you sharing what you're doing with the team and link up with other teams. Challenge our own system. What would happen if 2 teams get together? What would happen if you don't make it to the next stage of the race, but you reached out to a team that did, and you said, could we join you? What would that be like? What would it be like if you get some tough news and you didn't make it into the next phase of the race, but then you saw who did and you joined them? What would that be like? Be a little bit of work for me and Emily, but we would look at it with a tremendous amount of pride and support, and then communicate those stories. Em, let's go to some questions. And by the way, if I don't get some questions, I'm going to call on you and ask you to step up and be brave in this race and to speak up as well.
All right, well, to kick things off, we don't have a question, but someone did comment that they want to be part of Enactus Plus, which is great. If you're not already, we would love to have you on the platform. Head over to plus.enactus.org. You can get your account set up there, join your team, and start participating.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I also see some academic advisors who have joined us, and I hope you have the opportunity to share. This is recorded. We do want you to share with your team. We do want you to tell your story with passion and joy in this most challenging of times. My heart goes out to each and every one of you who are displaced from your campus and your community. For that, I am sorry, and there is light ahead. And that is the joy that we must continue to share with the world, to say there is opportunity and light as we run this race, this human race. Any others? I wanted to hear from your voices, and I want you to be brave and to step up to stage. I see Laura out there. Just somebody I randomly landed on. Laura, Nelly, how are you? Where are you? Feel free to unmic. I want to ask you about where you are in your team and what you're doing. So if you're listening and you're monotasking and not too much multitasking, I'd love to invite you to the stage and check in with you. May, same way. Arturo, hello, welcome. I see
Hello.
you leaning in. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, it's May.
Hey May. Where are you
How
at
are you?
today, May?
I'm from Egypt.
Nice. Salam alaikum. Shukran.
Oh,
Egypt is in the house. How are you? You guys
yeah.
have knocked it out of the park, if I heard right, that you're from Egypt, the country that brought us last year's World Cup winner and many, many great race entries, and of course, brought us some very cool 77-second films. How are you, May?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good. Well, thanks for being here today. Are you part of a race team, and what race are you part of?
For one race for oceans.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being part of One Race for Oceans, which also powerful rivers that run through Egypt, and not only the oceans, but the sea, the Red Sea. Years ago, I was in Sharm el-Sheikh, and I had an opportunity to dive the Red Sea amongst great life. But I know that that great life is threatened in the Red Sea in Sharm el-Sheikh, and much of Egypt has much to contribute to the oceans, and those oceans that cover our world and connect us all. So thank you for your work with the oceans. Thank you for entering One Race for Oceans and supporting SDG 14, May. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool, cool, cool. Brenda, hello, how are you? Nika, how are you? I want to get some other voices out here. I see Ria, Arturo. Anybody else? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know what race you've entered and what you guys are thinking about. What's some of your early learning? What are you learning right now as a race entrant? Zainab, how are you? Ashita, how are you? India is in the house.
Hey, it's Ishita from Enactus, Gargi College, Delhi University, India. And I've become a part of Enactus just a few weeks ago. And right now I'm just absorbing and understanding the work which is going on here. And I have been a part of certain meetings of Enactus as well. So I'm really fortunate to be a part of this community, and I'm really looking forward to have a great future here. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I had an opportunity to speak at Delhi University, and one of the last trips I got to take was to your beautiful community and your campus. So thank you. And just being part of the early stage is the Enactus journey, being curious and feeding that curiosity. So thank you for being here, and a big welcome to you. And enjoy the race and enjoy the learning and the experience and the adventure. It's all good. It's all good. Anybody else? I saw Brazil in the house. Anybody from Brazil want to speak up?
And actually, Terry, we do have a hand up. Vincent has his hand up.
Bring it on, Vincent.
Okay, I'm Vincent from Enactus in Nigeria. My team, we applied for climate action, the race on climate action. So I'm so excited to be here and to learn more, to understand more about the challenge and the race. So we are working.
Thank you so much for entering the race, especially around climate. Emily and I are very passionate about, well, all of the races, climate maybe in particular. Over the years, I went from Shanghai to Delhi, who was just on, and you look at the air quality in some of those communities, and you look at it and go, wow, that air quality is really challenging in that community, but it's not that community, it's our world, it's all of our world. And local communities aren't just responsible for their own pollution and their own climate. The world contributes to that kind of economy. So thank you so much for being part of this critical path of supporting climate action and climate change. It's a tough one, and oftentimes it can be overwhelming, and it feels bigger than us. And a lot of times people get their arms around one action, one thing that they can do. If you can do one thing every day, then if we continue to do that around the world and lead with that passion and power, share those stories, then we're going to make it to goal. And I like to double down. A lot of people go, hey, we do this we're changing lives one at a time. We're doing this thing one at a time. Hey, if you could do one at a time, you could double down. And so I always think about if one of us can look out for two of us, then there's enough of us for all of us. In the law of averages, if one of us can look out for two of us, then there's enough of us for all of us. And that's the abundance in the world and the opportunity. Anybody else, Em, raising their hand, want to check up before we check out?
Nope.
Check
No
in.
more,
Cool.
no more
Cool.
hands up. We are close to the top of the hour though, so.
Thank you, Em. So these are the 4 pillars. That's the X factor: create, criteria, lean in, collaborate, and then communicate and communicate. This race is not limited to the path that we put forth. It is unlimited. There's no ceiling. It is not a glass half full or a glass half empty. It is a glass half full of liquid and air, and then it is abundantly flowing into the whole community, guys. So there's so many great opportunities here. What's the follow-up? Enactus Plus, sign up, right? Em, what are the other things that they can do? I know March 2nd is an important date, but tell us again about those important dates.
Yeah, absolutely. So if your team hasn't already, if you're in the Race for Climate Action or the Race to Rethink Plastic, if you haven't completed your education modules yet on the Training Center, definitely work on those. And then you have progress reports coming up due in February. And then of course the Storytellers Workshop in March, and the 77-second films are due on March 15. So I know that's a lot of deadlines. I'll be sending some follow-up emails as a reminder, and always races@enactus.org is how you can get in touch with us. If at any point you've got any questions, if anything's unclear, we're here to help.
Thank you all for being part of Enactus. You're a part of a bigger world and our vision of a better, more sustainable world. And it's up to you, and it's my opportunity to serve you. And thank you, because you are the joy, you are the possibility, you are the happiness. And thank you for doing that today. And really was a great way for me to spend a really cool hour with all of you guys. So thank you so much. Hit us up if you got any questions, but we want you to win. We just want you to win. So thank you guys so much. You're awesome.